episode of Lie, Cheat, and Steal, the podcast about liars, frauds, thieves, and bullshitters. We're a bi-monthly podcast, and my name is Pat Soroyce. You can also find us on Twitter at LCS Podcast and on TikTok at Lie, Cheat, Steal Podcast. If you like what you hear, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to us. And you can also subscribe to our Patreon, where we post 2 more episodes every month. That's at patreon.com/lie, cheat, and steal. Anyways, as always, I'm here with my co-host, Kath Barbadoro. Kath, how you doing?
Hi, Pat. I'm okay. If anyone is watching the Zoom feed of this, I'm in a weird place. I'm cat sitting upstate right now, and in the beautiful Hudson Valley. And it's gorgeous up here. It's awesome. The weather's perfect. And within about an hour of getting here, I realized that I am very sick. So I am like pretty much unable to do any of the stuff that I thought I was going to be able to do while I was up here because I'm dying. So I'm sorry if I seem weird this episode, listeners. It's because I'm dying. So
yeah,
our last episode, RIP.
yeah. Kath is normally not dying on our podcast, and that's
typically I'm not dying. Generally,
it's been a big selling point, and I do feel bad that we're letting y'all down. But no, it sucks that you're like not feeling good up there in beautiful upstate New York, which I would imagine is glorious this time of year.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I wake up and it's like 68 degrees and then it gets warm during the day. It'd be like perfect weather for like a morning hike and a swim and like all that good stuff. But yeah, I'm just like fucking beat. I'm so tired. Yeah, we were supposed to record 2 episodes tonight and I like literally was like, I can't do one of mine because I don't have enough voice left. So
yeah,
again, I'm letting everybody down. I apologize, but it is pretty up here. If you can make the trip, you should do it. It's a nice place.
Well, we're here for you. I'm doing good. I worked today. I had to stop by and run some errands at the favorite bar where all of our friends hang out. And I saw like a blast from our past. I saw a lot of our old friends, Kat Ramzinski and Trace Holt, stop by, and it was just very fun. Yeah, I got a chance to see
mini
them.
High school reunion from comedy.
Yeah.
Like 6 years ago.
Yeah, it was cool, man. It was great. Good time. So your cat sitting. How's the cat?
The cat is great. You missed him. He came and basically walked all over my keyboard when we were setting up, but you were not in the Zoom room. You can actually see him. He is now sleeping on that pillow back there.
Oh, I see the back.
He's
of
that little gray blob. Well, he's an old man.
Nothing.
He's very he's a sweetie pie. He's very nice.
Yeah.
He has like disgusting old cat breath though. That's like the one thing, because like he's super sweet. He's really affectionate. He's like very well behaved. But his breath is real stinky.
So. Oh, he's like, man, my breath smells like some shit I ate in 2009.
Exactly. Yeah. And he farts a lot too. That's the other thing. He's just like very smelly for
that's what, man, I don't know. There's something about a farty, smelly old cat that, like, I mean, yeah, I can imagine not wanting to be around it, but there's an endearing quality about it.
They win you over. They do win you over. They have their own charm.
Yeah, so there is we have apartment cats that run around here, and Sid, my girlfriend, has started like in the mornings, you know, we usually let our dogs, we'll let them out for like a quick pee out, you know, not a full walk, just like a little, hey, go outside. None of the big fucking horse dogs that everybody else owns are outside yet, so y'all can go outside, do your thing. And there's a little apartment cat that started coming around that she started calling Mimo, and Mimo goes on like a 2-week rotation. So then it'll be like no Mimo, and then it'll be like Mimo for like 3 days, and then there's no Mimo again.
Mimo's making the rounds, yeah.
Mimo is playing everybody else in this apartment for fucking beef cubes.
Totally. Yeah, that's the other thing. That's like the main thing about. So first of all, also, technically she's on sabbatical right now, so it's not like a conflict of professional interest. But I'm cat sitting for my boss. So it's like you definitely don't want to fuck up when you're cat sitting for anyone, but you especially don't want to fuck up when it's your boss's cat. So. And like we're upstate, so there's bears and stuff. So like,
yeah, you gotta.
I really cannot let this cat out.
Yeah.
Really, like, Like,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna, but I'm just like, man, if the pressure was ever on, it's to not get my boss's cat eaten by a bear. So
what is your boss's cat's name?
his name is Will.
Will.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Weekend at Will's, but that's actually not that funny. But like, if anything happens, you gotta be like, oh no, Will's doing great.
Will's great. He's just tired. He's not moving so much.
He's got sunglasses. He's out by the pool. Well, I do love um, let's see. For a little bit of a segue, I guess I could talk about just resilient old things, and I think a big resilient old thing in this country is capitalism.
Sure.
Yeah, it's still kicking. And I wanted to talk today.
Wouldn't say it's thriving, but it is still staggering onward.
It's still alive. Yeah. It's like, like when somebody's drowning and then you go out to save the drowning victim and they pull you down too. Mm-hmm, like that's what's going on. They're still very much alive. They're fighting for breath, but it's at your expense.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. Today, we're talking about something a little topical. I want to phrase this correctly because I want to talk about Gate CEO Stockton Rush. I don't necessarily want to talk about the Titan Submersible, although we will.
And is the company really called Ocean Gate?
Yes, Ocean Gate. It was like he wild.
Knew. Yeah. Because I was like, for a description of that scandal, that's not very creative, but it is very on the nose to name your company that and then get into your scandal.
Yeah. So I believe in the last episode we talked about this, and you were like, "I haven't heard about this." Was that correct? Was that you that I talked about?
No, we knew about the sub. We talked about the sub.
I talked to somebody recently, and they were like, "I have no clue any of this is happening." Yeah, I don't know who that was. It's in my mind though. Somebody I was talking to, I was like, "Yeah, that goddamn sub," and they're like, "What?" And I was
sandwiches?
Like, yes. I love them. Yeah, they're so good. No, yeah, we're talking about the Ocean Gate Submersible Titan is the name of the submersible, but I wanted to focus today's thing on Stockton Rush.
Right. And we've talked the submersible has been discussed. You can find lots of info, unless you're that one person Pat knows, in which case the one person who's like, talk about the submersible more. We're gonna get into the company, which is I do not know a lot about this other than I saw that video and was like, I would not let this guy put me in the ocean. But I don't know a whole lot beyond that, so I'm excited.
So we'll cover everything. We'll cover what is needed to know about submersibles and about the company. But I wanted to focus today on Stockton Rush, and here is why. So the Titan was a submersible vessel built and engineered by deep sea tourism company Ocean Gate and their CEO Stockton Rush. On June 18th, 2023, just a few weeks ago, the Titan deployed from its companion ship, the Polar Prince, with 5 passengers on board. The intended destination was the site of the Titanic wreckage, roughly 715 miles from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and about 12,000 feet below the surface of the North Atlantic Ocean. So the 5 people on board included British billionaire Hamish Harding and another British billionaire. So we got 2, baby. No, I'm kidding. 2. I will be way more respectful from this moment on. Here we go.
I think it's okay.
Yeah. So it was a British-born Pakistani billionaire. Pakistani-born British billionaire, Shahzada Dawood, and his son Suleiman Dawood, who might very well be the only innocent person in everything we're discussing.
Right.
Here.
The one who like everyone truly is like,
yeah.
Okay, but that sucks for that guy.
This
is very tragic.
He didn't want to go. He did it to appease his dad.
He didn't want to go. And the other thing too is like, it's great that they died so quickly. Like they all had like a painless death.
Yeah.
Like they died before they could even understand what was happening, which is great for every reason except that kid didn't get to be like, I fucking told you, Dad.
Yeah.
Which, I'm a little disappointed, but also it's good that he, Dude, it's better this way.
What sucks so bad about that is like, I feel like, because we're gonna talk about I think there's a generational thing where everybody on this sub that died except for Suleiman was older, and they were, I think, a little more likely to buy into this idea of like, hey, there's mavericks among us who who overachieve and who do better than the normal population, and they're all very rich, so of course they believe that. And this one kid, Suleiman, who, although he was rich, he's younger, and I just think younger people, I mean, he's younger than us. They see this, and they're like they have not bought in to this generational idea of like, oh no, like there's these rip roaring people out there that are taking life by the horns. That is not a popular like ideal among younger people. And it seemed like he had that. He was like, no, this doesn't seem safe. And as I understand, his dad was like, no, it's good. This guy is tall. You know, like, have you seen this guy's jawline? He's not gonna kill us. And it's a shame that the guy did not listen to his kid, because we all know what happened. The additional pastor was a French deep sea explorer named Paul-Henri Nargelet, aka PH Nargelet.
Okay.
Usually with an AKA, one name sounds cooler. Both of those sound cool.
They both sound pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah. So Paul-Henri Nargelet was a Titanic expert on board through an arrangement with Ocean Gate. So I don't want to say he was an employee, but he was
like a sponsored guest of some kind.
Exactly.
And then the fifth person was Stockton Rush, right?
And the fifth person was Stockton Rush himself, the focus of today's episode.
Okay.
So the details of the dive, which we will get into later in some detail, are well known now, but a listener may ask themselves why this tragedy qualifies as subject matter for Lie, Cheat, and Steal, a podcast famously about liars, frauds, thieves, and bullshitters. Well, I would put it to you that Ocean Gate CEO Stockton Rush qualifies as at least 3, if not all fucking 4 of these titles. We're at the
What's the debatable one?
I would say
no, he's a bullshitter.
I would say thief.
Thief. Yeah,
he's totally
that's true. That's arguable.
He's completely a liar, and he is certainly a cheat. Thievery may be a little bit of a because did he steal? Yeah, arguably, but at the very least, he's 75% subject matter.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, all you have to do to qualify for this episode is be one of those things.
Be one.
So technically, he's 300% lie, cheat, and steal. I had to do the math real quick. He is 300% lie, cheat, and steal material.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gunning for a possible 400%.
So, a quadruple crown, if you will.
Yeah, the only quadruple crown winner we've. No, I would say a lot of people are quadruple crown winners as far as our subject matter goes. But at the heart of the story of the Ocean Gate submersible implosion, I would say, and this is what I'm putting to you, lies a classic case of investor fraud. That's all it is. It's really investor fraud. It was a charming
That's all,
businessman.
like you say, that's all it is. Like, that's all so much of stuff is.
That's all,
so many things that, like, at the end of the day, are investor fraud.
Shit, 4th of July, investor fraud. Like, the founding of our country.
Most websites, most apps, like, most businesses founded in the last 5 years are ultimately just investor fraud.
Yeah, it's just get you to buy into something so they can fucking, again, like a drowning victim, hold on to you while they fall beyond rescuing. And that's what's happening. So a charming businessman operating outside of the accepted rules of his industry preyed upon the desires of wealthy investors in order to extract large sums of money to fuel his ego-driven business venture that he promised would be successful if he could only be left well enough alone by the pressures of regulation.
Right.
Not to mention the pressures of the deep ocean. So this is
yeah, like, of all the pressures this guy is under, I think he was worried about the wrong one.
Yeah. Fucking bazinga, Cat. Thank you. But like, yeah, this is Billionaire Boys Club. This is Enron. This is FTX. It's Fire Festival. It's Madoff. It's Theranos. It's everything else, just dressed up a little differently. It's the same thing.
There is just this like. I'm Stockton Rush. I'm assuming he's American. He's an American.
He is. Yes.
Was an American. And like, I just feel like there is this idea of like, if you look the part, which he definitely did, as you said, he was like a square-jawed older white man.
Lantern John, pain in the ass.
And like, if you present the right facade, there is like people are so ready to hear you say that like regulations stifle innovation. Like that is like rich people love to take that line and will give a lot of money to people who take that line and ultimately lose it, it seems like.
Yeah, and he knew this. That's what we're gonna get into. Is that he believed in himself, and again, and we haven't. It's not uncommon for us to cover people who believe in their own scams. It could be said that, to use the casino analogy, he is both stupid and in on it.
Yeah.
He managed to check both boxes, and I do have to give him credit for that. But it's like we see this time and time again. A member of the wealthy elite gambles with lives that are not his own, with catastrophic consequences, all the while claiming that they're the only ones in the room who know what's really going on. Mm-hmm. And so, unfortunately, it has a lot of new wrapping paper, but it's the same fucking gift. We've all seen this before. So that is why today we will cover the backstory of Ocean Gate as a company. And there will be a focus on their CEO, Stockton Rush. And to do that, we will have to understand a few things about his background. So let us dive on in. Who is Stockton Rush? That was my header on this section of the script, but I wanted to share it. Who is Stockton Rush? So Richard Stockton Rush, a guy that goes by his middle name, always something suspect. I'm
already have an alias.
Yeah, I'm Patrick Rogers Royce. If I went around introducing myself as Roger, there's a fucking reason.
It's because you burned Patrick. It's because Patrick is no longer usable. Yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I would say Patrick ain't welcome in these town too much. You know what I'm saying? So he was born on March 31st, 1962, San Francisco, California. Yes, he was born wealthy. His father was Richard Stockton Rush Jr., and Richard Stockton Rush Jr. was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He was the CEO of an oil and gas company and a company that managed investment properties in Sacramento. So he was a landlord too. And their family money, this is to give you an idea of how connected to the American pedigree these guys are. Their money was inherited by one of their relatives who held stock in Standard Oil. That's as old as old money can get.
You're like honestly, printing money at that point. Yeah.
So Stockton was descended from two signers of the Declaration of Independence. Richard Stockton. This
all tracks for like his name, like Richard Stockton Rush III. Like, I'm assuming some Mayflower descendants, some old WASP stuff going on there.
Oh, dude, this guy is so waspy, he might as well sting you. Also, I can't help but think of the Simpsons episode where Jim Varney played the Carney. And he was like, hell, the Cooters, what is it? The Cooters have been Carney since we came over here clinging to the side of the Mayflower. So
that is, I mean, there had to be some people on the Mayflower who were like dirtbags, like the dirtbags of the Mayflower that no one else liked. And there are people descended from them who are probably really proud of it.
Yeah, like, dude, my family's been here the whole time and we've sucked the entire fucking 300 years. Yeah. Dude, I had to prepare myself for this episode, unwillingly, I had a class conflict this morning. I'm working in a very wealthy neighborhood in Austin right now on a house, and my girlfriend dropped me off for work this morning, and I got out of the car and I walked. She was parked on the, she's parked on the left side of the street. And so technically she's parked on the wrong side of the street. But I don't know if you've ever been through a nice neighborhood in the morning. It's all work trucks and everybody's parked every which fucking way. So I get out and I'm walking across the street with my tool bag, and these two Lance Armstrong fucking cosplayers decide that they're going to Tour de France their way down the fucking street. And they're whizzing by me, so I speed up to open the gap so they can get through.
Yeah.
And Sid, who is blocked, my girlfriend Sid is blocked by the view of this fucking work truck in front of her. She pulls out and like kind of into their way, stops immediately, but they just yell, "Be careful!" And I wanted to rip them off their fucking bicycles. Now, if somebody out there works for a Progressive or something, and you're like, well, actually, she would have, or you would have been at fault, I don't care. These guys were flying through at the speed of a car on a fucking titanium bar stool. Fuck these guys. And I like nothing happened, but I for sure did play through in my head what would have happened if something happened. I was like, oh, bro, I'd have said this and I'd have said that. Like, it was good. It got me in the right mood because this guy, like I said, descended from two signers of the Declaration of Independence, Richard Stockton and Benjamin Rush. And he's got both of those fucking names.
Yeah.
So as a child, he dreamt of becoming an astronaut and becoming the first person on Mars. And he had an interest in aviation and aquatics. So he began scuba diving at age 12 and became a commercial pilot at 18. He was later told that
you can do that when your
acuity,
family owns boats and planes.
Yeah.
Those are good things to do.
Look, let this 18-year-old fly the plane. His dad owns 9 apartment complexes. So in 1980, he graduated from the Phillips Exeter Academy. In 1984.
Oh, I know where that is. That's like near where I grew up. Very preppy. Again, very, very preppy.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, so this is a side note. Talking about near where you grew up. I was putting on some panels today at work, and we had to make these 1/4-inch little slots between the panels. And to get them on there, a guy, my boss, took a piece of wood and cut them with like a little bit of a crossway direction. And he put them up against each other, and he was nailing, he drilled the one to the wall so it was stable, and he nailed the other one in with a mallet to push this board against the wall. And I said, oh, it's the Vermont and New Hampshire.
Nice.
The way he had them, and he's from New Hampshire, and he goes, yeah, that's exactly it.
That's what that's called now. You invented it.
Yeah. It's I call it the New England hammer shuffle. So in 1980, he graduated from Phillips Exeter Academy. In 1984, he got a Bachelor of Science degree in aerospace engineering from Princeton. In 89, he got a Master of Business Administration from the University of California in Berkeley. So after graduating from Princeton, Rush briefly worked for McDonnell Douglas as a flight test engineer for the F-15 program before getting his MBA. And like all this is like pretty cool. Now, here's one thing I don't want to get. This dude was not stupid. I mean, he was dumb. He did a lot of dumb shit. I mean, he was capable. But like the thing was is that this capability was born in a world where he could do no wrong. Like he couldn't make a mistake.
I think Phillips Exeter got me thinking about this. So like Phillips Exeter, where he went to high school, was not that close to me, but there are a number of extremely preppy, very prestigious, very competitive high schools in New Hampshire. One of them is Phillips Exeter. The other one is St. Paul's, which is in my hometown. And like John Kerry went to St. Paul's. It's like very waspy, like old New England money people. And we did this. There was every year they would take juniors from New Hampshire public schools and do like a summer program there that called the Advanced Studies program. It was like the smart kids from public school would get to go there and study. And I did it my junior year, and literally like every day they would tell us how lucky we were that St. Paul's let us be there. Like, and I say that to like think about this mentality that these kids have. Like when you grow up in this kind of world, like exactly like you said, it's like a lot of them are really smart. They get amazing educations. Their family is like incredibly invested in their learning. But they're always told like, you guys are the next generation of leaders. You guys are the powerful people. You're the elites. And so they think that they just like know better than everyone else on earth.
Yeah. That's what he's been told his whole fucking time is that, you're it's almost like, I don't want to like take any responsibility on this guy, but it's like, what else would you think about yourself?
Right. Yeah. Your entire life, people are telling you like you could be the president if you wanted. Like no dream is impossible. You have all of the resources and all of the brain power to do it. And this guy's like, well, I want to go to the bottom of the ocean. So that's what he did. Go.
After graduating from Princeton, Rush briefly worked for McDonnell Douglas as a flight test engineer for the F-15 program before getting his MBA. Later on, he worked as a venture capitalist at the San Francisco firm Peregrine Partners. He moved to the Pacific Northwest in 1989 to run the company Remote Control Technology, based in Kirkland, Washington. I like to imagine that in 1989, remote control technology was just cars. I don't know.
Yeah. Just Christmas presents for little
Yeah,
brothers.
he's like, dude, I could get some sick air. Set up a shoebox. Let's go. So also Kirkland, Washington. I have played a show there. He claimed to have built an experimental plane later that year that he flew throughout his life. Rush was a hobbyist scuba diver and spent time diving the waters of Puget Sound. In 2006, following his first trip on a submarine in British Columbia, Rush became interested in ocean exploration at lower depths. So at this point, and just to use our current parlance, at this point in the succession scale of wealthy adult children, Stockton Rush is a firm Connor Roy.
Yes, totally. He's a
yeah.
Buster Bluth, to go for another example of a similar vibe.
Dude, I just want to hear like a company called Bluth and Roy, or like Roy and Bluth. It's just Buster and Connor. I out of pity, I would buy whatever they're selling. So
be a good spinoff.
Yeah. His monetarily inflated ego and delusions of grandeur have led him to believe that he has something remarkable to offer to humankind. He feels like he should be the first person to do something. And I think it's a very toxic fucking thing. It's like I can't just do something good. I got to be the first person to do X.
Yeah, and it's also like it again, like, is this, if your only goal is to be the first person to do something, it's like you don't have the knowledge or the passion in any one particular thing. That's like so purely ego driven. It's like, it's not like you have an interest in a field and you would like to advance that field. You just want to be the first person to do anything.
And we will go through this and see how he failed out of numerous fields. And it was just like fucking that. And that was the thing, is like, yeah, you shouldn't want to be like, I don't know, like yeah, you shouldn't want to be the best in this field. You should just be in this field, be passionate, at least like not even the best, but to be the first to do something.
Yeah,
like that should come organically. And it feels like he got the cart before the horse. He was like, I need to be the first guy to do something, and here's where I'll do it in. In many interviews, he said that his initial dream was space travel. And he wanted to be the first one, or one of the first humans on Mars.
He wanted to be the first human in space, and then they told him, "Oh, that already happened." And he was like, "Damn it!"
What? I don't read the news. What happened? So it was funny, his vision would actually interfere with his vision. He was not, his visual acuity kept him out of the world of aviation. But he claimed that he deemed space travel to be cost prohibitive. He was like, no, you know what? Space travel makes no sense. And it's like, yeah, that sounds like some shit a guy who can't see would say. It's like, you found out you couldn't do it, and now it's like, nah, man, that's bullshit.
Yeah, he's like the kid in Little Miss Sunshine who wants to be in the Air Force. And then he can't. That's this guy.
So he said that learning that most space was research missions that dealt largely in extended stays and doing boring spacewalks that many dedicated scientists had already done dozens of times. So he didn't want to do the fucking work. He was like, no, I
have to do research up there? Fuck that.
It's like we always draw things back to comedy, but it's like meeting a comic who's like, no, man, I should get booked. I should do 10-minute spots, or I should headline. And it's like, you don't even have 5 fucking minutes. You got to do the work, man. So that wasn't exciting to Stockton, and he looked to a more planetary source of discovery, the ocean. So initially, this led him to explore deep sea diving, and this is where I lose more and more patience with this guy. According to Rush, the demands were rigorous and uncomfortable. It's cold down there, Cap. Like,
it's uncomfortable to go into the ocean?
Can't be this fucking wetsuit. I can only produce so much pee. How can I warm myself up? So he said that it was uncomfortable, and he decided that exploring would be better done in a submarine. And this is like being a guy who's like, I want to be a marathon runner. And then you do a marathon, and you're like, actually, I want to be a race car driver.
You know what this reminds me of a little bit is, remember when we did our episode about Sean King? and we talked about how he wanted to climb all these mountains, and then he did like
Yeah.
one day of mountaineering school, and he was like, bro, I cannot climb a mountain. That's what this guy reminds me of.
That's exactly it. And it's like, you know, again, like to Buster Bluth, it's like when Buster hung out with the Lucille's housekeeper, when he hung out with her family for the day, and he's like, I love this. They're like, now we're all gonna go to work. And he was like, what? That is this guy. So Rush was like, nah, man, fuck this shit. I ain't trying to be in a wetsuit. I'm gonna be in a submarine. So Rush began looking into purchasing a submersible, but discovered that there were fewer than 100 privately owned submarines worldwide, and he was unable to purchase one. He instead constructed a miniature submersible using blueprints provided to him by a retired U.S. Navy submarine commander. The vessel that Rush constructed was 4 meters, 13 feet long and capable of diving to a depth of 33 feet. So, following the construction of his miniature submersible,
that's not that far. 33 feet.
No. Yeah.
I feel like I could go down that far if I wanted.
Oh, I would love to just see fucking like I could dive to 30 feet, grab some
I feel like I could get down there, probably. I mean, look, maybe I'm getting the physics all wrong, and I would like, you know, my brain would come out of my ears or something, but I feel like I could go down that far.
Yeah, shit. I can see like he could probably still look up and see his like rich friends up there, like, you fucked up, Stockton. Ooh, 33 feet. Big whoop, Stockton. And so the vessel that, following the construction of his miniature submersible, he continued to try to purchase a submersible, and he included attempting to buy Steve Fawcett. I don't know who Steve Fawcett is, but his name was highlighted. Steve Fawcett's submersible vehicle following Fawcett's 2007 death, but was unsuccessful. So around 2007, Rush began to explore the idea of founding his own submarine company. So, like, look at the entitlement of this guy. It's like, I want to go to space. That's boring. I want to go underwater. That's cold. I want to go underwater in a submarine. Okay, now I want to found my own submarine company. It's like, why do you get to do these things? It's like a guy being like, hey, I want to be an actor. That's difficult. Okay, I'll do stand up. Well, I'm not getting booked. Well, I'll start my own fucking show. Yeah. I'll book myself. It's just that level.
It's also like he's not even really trying to build them at this point. He's just trying to buy them from other rich people. So like it's even more lazy, you know?
It's more lazy. And I think ultimately we'll get into this. He didn't want to own a company that took people to the Titanic. He wanted to own a stage where people could watch him go to the Titanic.
Yeah.
That's what it was. This is completely ego driven.
Mm-hmm.
So he wanted to found his own submarine company. He believed there could be significant market for underwater ocean tourism, and that it would provide an alternative to the significant time and technical gear required for scuba diving, where you got to get fucking certified by some fucking instructor who gatekeeps. So Rush founded Ocean Gate with his partner Guillermo Sonline in 2009. Now, according to Rush, the goal of the company was to use commercial tourism to support the development of new deep diving submersibles that would enable further commercial ventures, including resource mining and disaster mitigation. I made a mention to the podcast before. My guitarist in my old band is about to retire from the military, even though he's like, it's not a full 20-year retirement. He's getting out. He's got a ton of money. And he got into meditation. Mm-hmm. And he called me. He was like, hey, I want to do a meditation podcast. Would you be curious of being on it? And I was like, well, yeah, like, what's up? Like, you get into meditation. That's pretty cool. What's that about? He goes, bro, I ain't talking about none of this fucking, pussy shit. I'm talking about teaching people to be their most optimal selves. He literally said, I want to create super soldiers. Like,
hell yeah.
Yeah.
This is like, I feel like this is like the meditation version of how everyone's like, Jonah Hill is weaponizing therapy language. Yeah. Like, that's what this guy's doing. When the military gets a hold of meditation for tactical purposes.
Yeah. That's what he's like, I want to create super soldiers. And I was like, man, that's wild. I was like, yo, I'll do the podcast. You cut me a check. He never got back to me. But I did see that he invited me to like Davis Human Performance Solutions
Nice.
on Facebook. So yeah, he made it. And I love you, Brandon. I hope it works out. But so according to Rush, the goal of the company was to support the use commercial tourism to support the development of deep diving submersibles.
Right. This is how you make the money to fund the research.
They do, yeah.
The stuff.
You guys want to know what's happening on the fucking? You guys want to find the Little Mermaid? God damn it! I need $4 billion. So he said that would enable further commercial ventures, including resource mining and disaster mitigation. So Sondland, his partner, left OceanGate in 2013. So it's pretty much been a Preston show since then.
Mm-hmm.
So while conducting market research for OceanGate, Rush determined the private market for underwater exploration had floundered due to a public reputation for danger and increased regulatory requirements on the operation of tourist submarines and submersibles. He believed these reasons were understandable but illogical. Like, I get how you don't want to die, but it doesn't make any fucking sense to me. So
yeah, that's an interesting combination of words. I feel like those are kind of opposed to one another, but all right. Like, understandable but illogical.
Yeah, you're saying like, I get it, but I don't care. So in particular, he was critical of the Passenger Vessel Safety Act of 1993. And just heads up, listeners, if you ever find somebody that's critical of a government act that has the word safety, and I don't know, I'm not saying they're always good, but if you're just like, man, I got a real problem with the Passenger Vessel Safety Act of 1993.
They're trying to make the passengers too safe. It's bullshit.
Yeah. Yo, that is almost precisely what he said. So he said, now, this act was a United States law which regulated the construction of ocean tourism vessels and prohibited dives below 150 feet, which Rush described as a, quote, needlessly prioritized. No, he said that it needlessly prioritized passenger safety over commercial innovation. Needlessly prioritized passenger safety. Like, there's no need for that.
Right.
Over commercial innovation. This is the boss that tells you it's not always about the money. Work these overtime hours at not time and a half. This is this guy might as well be fucking Andrew Carnegie. Like, this is just like, this isn't any different. He just acclimated a little bit to the times and adopted the language of tech bros to be like,
yeah, I do want to, I do want to beg to differ a little bit. Andrew Carnegie was like successful. Like this guy is, he's not that similar. He's just also doesn't care about the people he's in charge of. That's all.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, Andrew Carnegie is probably looking at him bewildered, like, bro, I disregarded the safety of 250 million Americans and I made a ton of money. How did you not do the same fucking thing? So in 2018, Rush piloted an expedition with researchers and scientists to the San Juan Islands. I did a show there. Shout out San Juan Islands. I had to take a ferry to get there. Me and San Castillo.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was so cool. I actually really enjoyed that. So he used it to observe the red sea urchin. He actually had Macklemore on board on that one.
Okay. Now Seattle royalty. So he's up in Washington.
Yeah.
Let me take the most famous person from Washington in here. Macklemore. Yeah. Jeff Bezos is busy, so it's Macklemore.
Yeah, it's Macklemore. I wonder if he was just like, if Macklemore at any point threw his hands up to the ceiling.
Macklemore's like a pretty big guy too, from what I remember. I think he's pretty tall, so he's probably really folded into that little submersible.
I wonder if he kept the submersible real clean, just like his room when he was a kid. His mom was like, he's like, hey, am I gay? Because my submarine is so clean. So in 2021, after several delays, Rush finally started his deep submergence business. By 2023, Rush had made at least 13 successful trips to the Titanic. So prior to the June 2023 dive, Rush was sued by a couple in Florida over a planned 2018 dive to the Titanic that they claimed was repeatedly canceled and postponed. And this couple claimed that they were unable to get a refund. And but following Rush's death, they dropped the lawsuit. So
okay. They're like, he suffered enough.
yeah. So it's clear that Stockton Rush had some non-industry standard ideas about what was needed to construct a submersible. So let's explore what those ideas were. Rush's first problem was with the shape. So submersibles are spherical titanium crafts. Now they contain various components built out from that shell, but the core of the vehicle that houses crew members, also known as the pressure vessel, is always a titanium sphere. A sphere evenly distributes pressure by reducing surface area, preventing a weak point from imploding.
Yep, gotta be a little golf ball.
Yeah, and I love how we've known that as a society for thousands of years, and that was still this guy's downfall. Like, I that's not lost on me. But the drawback of this design, in Rush's eyes, was the maximum occupancy. A spherical submersible vessel allows for a crew of 3. What do you do with 3 people? I can't.
Yeah, that's an awkward social situation.
Yeah. 3's a crowd. We know this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Rush saw this as limiting for commercial exploration. As he said, you needed a pilot, a guide, and in your life alone. You invite your best friend, your son, your daughter, your spouse.
Yeah.
So a cylinder-shaped craft.
You do your family reunion down there.
You do your family reunion. Yeah, get the whole fucking family down here. Yeah. Let's crush that shit, is what they would say. So a cylinder-shaped craft would allow for 5 occupants, and it was way more viable for commercial trips. He backed up this assertion, and this is how he said what I just thought was correct. Here's how he verified this. He said, look, that's much more viable for commercial trips. How would I know this? Well, he backed up this assertion by noting that how the trips made by Ocean Gate in their initial purchased submersibles, they initially purchased submersibles that were made for this shit. And they allowed for a subpar filming of the journey. Yeah. He said, we did videos of those. They only got like 10 to 20,000 views. What are you going to do? You think a selfie or whatever? You know,
this is what happens when you confuse the laws of capitalism with natural laws.
Yeah.
Like he thinks that, like, for something to be like, oh, well, if it's not commercially viable, then this is the right way to do it. Like, of course, this is the right way to do it, because this will get more hits on YouTube, and this will bring more clients to my company. So like, this is the right way to do it. Like, they act like that is physics, like that is a law in the same way that those other laws are laws.
An immutable law of nature.
Yeah.
So their first expedition in a cylinder craft that allowed for a 5-man team that allowed a videographer and his assistant to produce a high quality video of the journey. Kath, that video fetched a whopping 4 million views.
He was right.
It went viral. Stockton Rush delivered that thrilling news with a huge smile on his face to a crowd gathered to watch him speak at the Seattle Tech Conference 2022. He was like, guys, we elongated the hall, and I got a videographer there. We got 4 million fucking views. And everyone's like, yeah. It was big news to that crowd. So the second exception Rush took with industry standards was construction materials. So according to the current understanding of deep sea submersibles, titanium is the only material suitable to construct a pressure vessel. Remember, pressure vessel being where you actually sit. Yeah. So Stockton believed the same hull density could be achieved with 5-inch thick carbon fiber. So titanium sphere versus carbon fiber tube.
Different things.
He had a porthole window that was only tested for 12,000 meters, and they took it to 4,000 meters. He had interior track lighting purchased at a cut rate from Camping World.
Don't be getting shit at cut rate when it's going into the bottom of the ocean. Don't be saving money on that shit.
Great grandfather signed the Declaration of Independence. Buy a real fucking light bulb, you idiot. Like, man, I work in a house right now that the people that own it are rich, and the people who are building it are rich, and they're the most unhappy people I've ever met in my entire life. And my boss, who works in houses like this all the time, was like, dude, I work for rich people all the time. Yeah, they're annoying, but 9 times out of 10, they're fucking happy. He's like, how are these
Yeah.
people? And this is by far this is at the house that I showed you those text messages that one time. This is the nicest place I've ever worked at, let alone been in. And they are the most unhappy people I've ever met in my entire life. And so it's like, look at this. Like, yeah, if I was rich, I would buy fucking cut rate. I'm like, dude, we're getting the best fucking lights in here. Why would you not get good lights? And he can be like, oh, well, the Camping World lights aren't going to crash the submersible. I don't give a shit. I'm in that thing. I want good lights. I don't want to be
You're
like,
getting
hey,
billionaires in there. They know about this shit. Make it nice.
yeah. If I had $1 billion and I got there, let alone all the other shit, I would just like look at the track lighting, be like, bitch, am I on an AMC?
Yeah, I thought we were supposed to be taking selfies down here and shit. Make sure the lighting's good.
Exactly. Get a fucking ring light. I have one and I'm poor. So, and also he had the infamous Xbox controller, which is like, and people have been like, oh, well, it's not uncommon to have an Xbox controller. And I read more into that, and it's not uncommon to have an Xbox styled controller. What is uncommon is having a Logitech 4780.
Right. Like an aftermarket.
Yeah,
like
an aftermarket
Bluetooth thing that you just connect to whatever you
if you not even if you're a gamer, if you're like just a kid that played video games with his friends, and they were like, hey, we're playing a 4-player game, and you got handed the Mad Catz controller, you're like, oh fuck.
Right. It's gonna be worse. Like if you can't play Mario Party on it well, you're not gonna be able to navigate a submarine with a lot of accuracy.
Yeah, you're gonna get super smashed, brother. You know what I'm saying? So, in a previous dive in which journalist David Pogue was on board, the sub became lost for 5 hours. It was unable to set its location to the support ship. This spurred talks of adding a safety beacon to the Titan, but those plans never came to fruition. Yeah.
What can you
The safety shortcomings didn't go unnoticed. One former executive spoke out about safety concerns, and according to his version of events, he was let go by the company. There was a notable voice in deep sea journalism named William J. Broad, and he was approached by Ocean Gate to do a piece on the Titan. But when he looked at it, he declined due to safety concerns. At one point, they conducted pressure tests at a university-run lab in Maryland and ended up blowing their sensors out because of how poorly it handled it.
Ew.
And they had to pay the college to replace the sensors.
The thing that is so interesting about this, like you said, it's that this guy is stupid and he's in on it. Like there's all this data, all of these examples of people being like, this is not safe. Bad things are going to happen.
Yep.
And it's not only that this guy sent people down there, he went down there.
Yeah.
He built it and he knew all this and he still was like, yep, it'll be fine.
And that was such a selling point. Everybody, like the people who bought the cool, we'll get it. Some people were like, hey, this fucking sucks. I'm not going down there. But like the people who did were like, he says it's okay. Like he's down there with us.
Right.
Why would a guy put his life on the line? So at one point, the entire deep sea exploration industry reached out to him in an open letter, urging him to get the Titan certified. They're like, get this shit certified international safety standards, because they knew that it was going to eventually start messing with their shit.
Right.
Because they were like, look, dude, like we do this shit. Your little fucking trinket box here is gonna fuck up our whole game. It's like the mob almost being like, hey, you got to get your shit together because you're gonna draw light on us.
Right. Well, I mean, if this, and I'm sure it's already affecting them. Like people probably aren't going to want to give them grant money. Like, the whole industry of it is tainted by this for sure.
They're going to have to redirect so much of their available funding into reassuring people that they're not them.
Yeah.
So the glaring safety flaws with not just the Titan's construction, but with Ocean Gate's inattentiveness to these flaws are numerous, but it's not what makes this a scam. The scam would be, and here's where it gets into it, is the millions of dollars that Stockton Rush personally raised from investors and the additional fortunes of paying customers, knowing full well he had a product that wasn't safe. He knew this. He knew these concerns. So since its founding in 2009, Stockton courted his wealthy friends and associates for many an investment or straight up donation, and in some cases just cut rate ticket prices to raise funds. And it should be noted that he also dumped a large amount of his own money into this as well. So he scammed himself. So which many might call the greatest scam of all. Um, Stockton Rush often talked about how world governments monopolized access to the deep sea through stifling regulations. And as a result, there were only, and I guess at this point are still only, 10 vehicles on Earth capable of going 4,000 feet down. And he said he wanted to increase privatized access to the deep, and he needed a lot of money to do that. So first things first, the skirt regulations raise capital. They based the company in the Bahamas. And I got nothing against Bahamian culture, but if a company's based in the Bahamas, it's there for a reason. It's there because they don't want to be governed by any sort of stifling regulations.
Yeah. Do you have anything? Because I think I remember reading that it is actually not legal to go to the Titanic.
I haven't heard that, but I can see that. Why would it be?
I think there might be some laws about it. I mean, it's one of those things where it's
there was
no one can get there, so it's weird to, but I think it is like he's saying, I think it is owned by some government or something. I
do believe that that might be true, because there was a lot of references and a lot of talk about international law or international waters.
Yeah.
How you could say, hey, the Titanic is off limits, but at the end of the day, it's still in international waters.
They don't have jurisdiction to
and a lot of the Ocean Gate shit fell under the fact they're in international waters.
Got it.
At some point, I would recommend going and reading the waiver that everybody had to sign.
Mm-hmm.
It mentions death a dozen times on the first page, but it talks about how far away they are from everything, how nobody can get to us. And they're doing that for a fucking reason, So there was one investor, his name was Aaron Newman, and he became an investor after paying $250,000 for a ride of the Titanic. So he took a ride down there, he did the whole thing, he came back in one piece. And then he invested what he called a, quote, small amount of cash. But I can't imagine what a guy paying $250,000 for a fucking submarine ride considers a small amount of cash.
Right. Yeah. No idea.
Yeah. And he did it knowing full well that he would, quote, never get a dime back from doing this. Mm-hmm. He said the company was not making cash. This was definitely a money hole for anyone that was involved. And the company wasn't strapped for cash. Based on reported investments over the years, Ocean Gate had received a number of investments, including an $18.1 million investment in 2020 to expand its submersible fleet. And it filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. And the funding sources for this investment were unclear. Rush said it was 100% insiders. So it's people cutting personal checks. Mm-hmm. Previous SEC filings outline investments of $5 million in 2019, $5.1 million in 2017, $5 million in 2016, $5 million in 2015, $10 million in 2013, and $3 million in 2012. So, right there, you're looking at fucking it's what is it? $27 million in 7 years. That's an investment scam. He's telling people, I got this thing. Yeah, come on in on it. So in addition, he founded the Ocean Gate Foundation. It was their nonprofit wing, and it had raised $400.
That's how you know it's a scam.
Yeah,
it has a nonprofit wing that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, why would you need a nonprofit wing? Yeah, you know when I think of the deep sea, I think of nonprofit.
Well, it's if you want to do a research thing, you could have a nonprofit about deep sea research or something, but then you'd have to get your shit certified, which he doesn't do. So I don't know how that. Yeah.
Not do.
How much did the
in 4 years they raised $450,000, so almost $500,000. But the financial solvency started the 501c that was started in 2010 to promote ocean-related science and education programs. In its most recent filings with the IRS, the foundation reported ending 2012 with a negative $71,000 balance, and the year prior, the balance was negative $81,000. So the issue with negative assets, this is what one guy said, an analyst. The issue with negative assets is that it's either one of two things. It's either financial instability or there's a dependency on other entities for solvency.
Yeah.
So it seems like this dude kept his company open for a decade based on the investments of others. Yeah. And Financial documents filed in Washington show clear financial and family ties between the Ocean Gate for-profit and nonprofit ventures. So Stockton Rush is listed as a treasurer of the nonprofit. But his Wendy Rush, his wife, is also listed as the president and the director in the nonprofit's financial documents. So the arrangement strikes experts as a cause for concern. With a nonprofit, you want to have an independent board, said this an analyst. It's not abnormal for there to be someone else close to the business, but you lose objectivity at that point. And the preference would be that someone separate, ideally not paid and not a family member, be in charge. And in probably the biggest smack in the face, in 2020, Ocean Gate took out a $447,000 PPP loan.
Of course. So, God, wouldn't be one of these stories without a PPP loan.
Yeah, man. Dude, and also, hey, don't sweat. The loan was forgiven. So
okay, good. Thank God.
We can all breathe easy.
I mean, I guess no billionaires were going down to the Titanic during COVID. So, you know.
Yeah, right. Also,
there's no COVID down there. So,
would that be the safest place to be? You know?
Yeah.
So, Ocean Gate's business plan, we can't forget this. It also included selling high-priced tickets to those who could afford it. Tickets whose seemingly arbitrary value could fluctuate. In 2017, the original price of the ticket for a trip to the Titanic site was $105,129.
Oh,
and
steal.
I don't know if you heard this. Yeah, it's total steal. That was the cost of a first class ticket on the Titanic itself, adjusted for inflation.
On purpose? They did that on purpose.
Totally purpose.
No sense of irony. These
people. Yeah.
Zero irony.
This is like, also, this dude's wife was descended from the most wealthy passengers on board the Titanic. You've heard this tidbit. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. It just like makes perfect sense.
Oh, yeah. So his wife, her great-grandparents or great-great-grandparents, don't get me bogged down on that. But they were the passengers that are depicted in the movie as those rich people just laying down in bed. Yeah. That is her fucking that's her ancestors. And they were the ones that gave up their seat on the reason they died. The thing was they gave up their seat so younger people can just get off the boat. They're like, like we lived a full life, we're good. And God, I sort of billionaires used to like almost embrace dying. And I wish they'd look back into that. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong with that. Yeah, you're right. I'm romanticizing there, but so there was a father and son team that it was a guy, he was an investor. He met with Stockton Rush over drinks, and Stockton told him that a ride on this submarine was safer than crossing the street. And this is a guy who famously said, if you don't want to do anything unsafe, don't get out of your fucking bed. He didn't say fuck it, but he said that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get out of your
That's what he meant. Yeah.
Yeah. If your pussy ass doesn't want to drown in the ocean, I don't know, maybe stay asleep. You know? So this guy backed out. He was going to take his son on there. And he backed out because he talked to him and he was just like, man, this doesn't make any fucking sense. But as fate would have it, no amount of venture capital investment was able to stop the tragedy that would befall the Titan. As we all know, on June 18th, 2023 at 11:15 a.m., the Titan Submersible lost contact with its support ship, the Polar Prince, off the coast of Newfoundland in the North Atlantic Ocean. It's suspected that the vessel suffered a catastrophic implosion, killing all 5 people on board instantly. Now, a massive taxpayer-funded search was launched for the vessel, and eventually the wreckage would be found 4 days later on the ocean floor, 500 meters from the Titanic wreckage. I feel we would be like remiss if we didn't discuss like the reaction to it. And a lot of people said it was callous to laugh at this, and it was shitty, like these are human beings. And this is not like my own original thought, but I believe most people thought this. It's like, look, dude, times are so fucking tight right now that I don't have the emotional expenditure to be like, hey, I'll feel sorry for 5 fucking rich people that decided to fucking sink a tin can down at the ocean. I just don't have it there. I can't feel bad for these guys, and it sucks that
I think that should be in the waiver that they sign. It should just be like, if you die, no one has to feel bad for you because you chose this. You did this to yourself, and it's, you know, like, yes, when a life ends, that's a sad thing as a fellow human being, but like, yeah, they fucking knew that was a possibility. Like, I feel like if you die in a really, really crazy way, you got to understand that people are going to remark upon it. And
Yeah.
if you die doing something stupid, I mean, nobody's going to bat for the Darwin Awards. Like, why do we have to feel bad for these people? You know, this is a Darwin Award to me. It's the same shit. Yes, it's a little dark, but we're allowed to laugh at it.
Yeah, we're allowed to laugh at it because, like, yeah, like you made your bed, now go drown in it. You know,
Yes, exactly.
I can't be here. Dude, like, you know, as all of us, I would say, as most people listening have in the last year or two, I've been worried about what I'm gonna do to make rent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can't sit here and be like, you know, oh, as a guy who like I have to work every day, and if I don't work one day, I feel that, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I feel that clench by the end of the week. And like, I can't sit here and be like, damn, it sucks those guys that paid 250 grand
Right.
to this. Yeah, I can't feel sorry for them. And I would say it's on them or their contemporaries for creating an environment where I feel so fucking animus towards them.
Yeah.
I feel such animus towards them because no, fuck off. I didn't like, I didn't do that. I live myself every day. I don't do so many things that I want to fucking do because I know that it will ruin me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, hey, I want to get blind drunk. I want to get back on drugs. Whatever the case may be, I don't do it because I know that that will ruin my fucking life. And these guys were just like, hey, I want to travel 4,000 feet below the ocean. And there was nothing in their life telling them they didn't need to do that. And they did it anyways. And I'm sorry, but I'm not in a position where I can feel sorry for them. If
I think
you are
there's
related
also
to them, of them, by all means. But I can't do it personally.
yeah. I think there's a thing where like when you're wealthy, and I was tweeting about this because I think it's an American thing too. We Americans do this a lot of like when you're really rich and you're paying a lot of money to another rich person for something, you just sort of assume that like everything is taken care of. Like you just, I feel like there's this thing of like, well, I'm paying so much money for this. Of course, it's going to be safe. Like, of course, it's going to be tested. Like, and the reason I think about that with in terms of like Americans is like, I feel like when I've been a tourist abroad with other Americans, that's been like a thing that comes up where like we want to do something and it like is something that could potentially, you know, be dangerous in some way. And they're like, well, we wouldn't be able to pay for it if it wasn't dangerous. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not, there's no like secret force field protecting you, like made of money or made of whiteness or made of your American passport or whatever. It's like, bad things can still happen to you. Like it doesn't, your privilege does not protect you from that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I'm probably not saying this clearly because I'm like delirious on cold medicine, but
I totally got what you're saying. I worked retail. I worked cell phone retail in the 3 years the iPhone came out at AT&T. So I dealt with this full wave of like the most entitled customers in the world. And not even just in that though, just in any retail environment, there's this idea that like, hey, I spent money. That means I have fucking superpowers. Like I spent some money. I am impervious to the fact that my device may not work. And it's like, no, like Apple doesn't knock it out the park every time. Sometimes you get the defective iPhone. It can happen. The fact that you spent money doesn't preclude you from this. And, and
you don't get to just like automatically be guaranteed a seamless, easy experience or something. Yeah.
And I can only imagine that gets intensified the more money you spend. You're like, no, I spent, and like I'm almost kind of like, I'm glad it was a microsecond between the hall breach and the implosion. But like, if there had been time down there where they were all alone together, like, you know, those guys are just like, hold on, I spent this much fucking money.
Yeah, they just start all yelling at Stockton.
The fucking Xbox control. Pass the stick. It's my turn. I'll get us up. It had to be insane. Now, the ability to sue, there are lawyers very hungrily looking into can they skirt the rules of this of this waiver. And the general consensus seems to be there probably might be some recourse because you can say all day like, hey, you're legally waivered from XYZ, but if you're being criminally negligent, an argument can be made that that initial acknowledgement is null and void. So that can happen. But yeah, other than that, yeah, possible. It's just it's kind of we're seeing it happen all the time in our society. People are given free reign financially, and they're ruining it because they think that they have this immunity to the consequences of their actions, and they don't.
Somebody was tweeting about how they were like, I totally believe this whole thing because I was a lifeguard in Nantucket, which is like there are lots of sharks, and it's a very, very wealthy place, and there are lots of sharks. And there would be times where you would have to, like, as a lifeguard, clear everybody out of the water because there'd be a shark. And and rich people would go, no, I'm gonna go swimming. I'm going swimming now.
Yeah, I'm good.
And like it's just this like, no, the shark won't eat me. I'm rich. Like it's very, I think we will see more and more of this as climate change becomes more dire, is people just thinking that they can buy their way out of nature's laws. And you can't. No. You cannot buy your way out of the physics of the deep ocean. You cannot buy your way out of a shark wanting to eat you. Like it's just it is what it is.
Yeah, dude, like I'm all about eat the rich, but let me tell you, sharks are all about just eat us.
Yeah.
they don't give a fuck.
They do not have class consciousness.
The forces of nature don't give a shit who you are, what you paid. Yeah, you can't flash your ticket stub to a shark and he's like, oh.
Right.
Yeah. It's so funny you brought that up because on my apartment complex last night, they showed Jaws at the pool.
Hell yeah.
And we all went out there. We got little fucking floaties and we watched Jaws, and it was fun as
beautiful.
Shit. Yeah, it was a good time. No one got eaten. But yeah, that is the story of, again, not Ocean Gate, but the story of Stockton Rush, Ocean Gate CEO. Worth it? No, none
of it. None of it's worth it. Just be a rich guy. Enjoy your money.
Yeah. Dude, I'll tell you, I see, like I said with that one house where like I see people all the time just being rich and unhappy. And I'm like, dude, just give it to me. I will figure it out. If you want to be unhappy, I promise
I will be so happy.
Yeah. If all you want to be is unhappy, come here. Like, stay like come on down. Be as unhappy as you want here. I will take over the fucking reins of your empire, and you can be unhappy here, and I'll be happy there. Yeah, that is that. So let's see. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. If this is the first time you're ever hearing this, we do have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/lie-cheat-and-steal. We do 2 more episodes a month. You can check us out wherever podcasts are streamed, and we do 2 episodes every month there as well. We are on Twitter at LCS Podcast, and we're on TikTok at Lie Cheat Steal Podcast. That being said, my name is Pat Royce. I'm no longer on Twitter for now. I might get back, but I'm on Instagram at Peezy. That's PEEZYTX. And also, I have a surprise tour happening this week. I didn't know it was going to happen. And I'm going to be in South Carolina and Georgia and Alabama on the 13th, 14th, and 15th. So check on my page and look for those particulars, and you can come out and see me. Kath, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I have a taping in New York City at the Turks Inn July 31st. So come to that. Or no, it's called the Sultan Room at Turks Inn. So it's at the Sultan Room. I have Paid Protest August 19th. I'm going to Chicago in early August. So I'll have some shows then. I'm at Kath Barbadoro on social media. You can listen to my other podcast, What a Time to Be Alive. That comes out every week. I think that's all I have to plug. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. Please, if you like the episode, definitely give us a 5-star review on wherever you listen to us at, and leave a review or 5-star rating. Leave a review. It helps get the word out. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to our Patreon because it always helps. But that being said, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your summer. Be safe. Be smart. But above all, don't get caught.
Don't get caught. See you next time.